Hey gang, it's Seth. Hopefully this will be a quicker video. I want to do a video. I've touched on this in several places, but I think it's kind of relevant with all of the labeling, the division, the racial division, the political division, the ideological division, religious division, blah blah blah. I want to talk about why more than ever conversations are important. Words and labels, um, for the most part, in my eyes, um, and I don't just mean words in general. I mean when you're talking about words that you or labels that you place on people, ways or descriptions, um, they either divide or they provide an initial assessment. The use of labels and words to divide is more of a long-term, drawn-out thing, and it happens today in abundance, whether it's white pride, general nationalism, populism, conservatism, liberalism, countless other ways. Um, Now, to initially assess someone as more of a spontaneous, instinctual thing that we take as humans as pattern recognition machines. Whether you think you could trust someone, could engage someone, should avoid someone, and there's countless ways that we come to that, whether it's physical appearance, the demeanor, the walk, the way you see them engage with someone else, the tone of their voice, their posture, mannerisms, all that good stuff. This is a lot less malevolent in its use, because it's initial, and generally speaking, when you initially assess someone, you can relabel them or find more out. So you may have someone, oh, I don't trust this guy just because he looks a certain way. I talked to him, oh, he's not a bad guy. But when you start labeling people long term is where the problems come into play. And I want to talk about the usage of those labels to divide. And this is what liberals and the liberal media does today in abundance, and they execute it well, much to the chagrin of people like me. And this is how they use it to divide: shaming people into support, and or at least silencing those for fear of being ostracized. So they'll have like, "Are you a feminist?" And I'll say no. Oh, well, then you must hate women. You have daughters. How can you say you're not a feminist when your daughters are female? Or am I liberal? No. Well, then you must be a white supremacist. You must hate minorities. Um, are you in support of Black Lives Matter? No, you must be racist. And no, I'm going to use the. I want to talk specifically about liberal being labeled or denying um, the label of liberal. The interesting thing in that regard, and you could use it with all of those, whether it's feminism, liberalism, whatever. Um, People have a tendency to say, if you don't claim to be a liberal, you are illiberal, meaning you don't embrace any liberal ideologies or points or anything like that, which is funny because it couldn't be further from the truth. Um, excuse me. And people forget, or due to ignorance, or they're not educated on it, or sometimes they don't forget, and it's more of them forgetting or ignorantly ignoring it to spread their ideologies and political narratives. That just because you're not willing to pick up the banner of an ideology and wave it, it doesn't mean that you don't embrace it, or does it mean that you're in 100% opposition to that. Um, and it doesn't mean you can't embrace certain aspects of, in this regard, in this case, liberalism, or whatever thing you want to use. And this with us or against us mentality, this either 100% or 0% mentality, has created so much division and derision of late, and it's sad. So, I'm not a liberal, but most of my positions would be considered liberal 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago. And we need to, I'm not conservative, because I don't embrace all the conservative ideologies. But the interesting thing to think of in this specific case is that what is considered conservative or liberal today is going to change next year, 5 years, 10 years, and is different than it was a year ago, 5 years ago, and 10 years ago. And more often than not, both groups, the left, the right, conservatives, liberals, whatever term you want to use, Democrats, Republicans, um, they'll alienate people like me because I don't adhere 100%. I won't wave the flag of one or the other, and I won't condemn in absolution one or the other. Again, because if it's the with us or against us, you have to go under one or the other. I get questions like, well, if you believe this, how can you not believe that? Or if you support that, how can you support this? Well, because I do. It's pretty simple. You know, because I'm not tied down, and I don't feel the inclination to embrace something for the sake of fitting in. I am allowed to have that flexibility, and I'm not tied down or forced to adhere to something that I kind of don't agree with. And this is why conversations need to happen. But before that could happen, as individuals and then as groups, we need to start looking for common interests and look to listen and understand, as opposed to focusing on those differences, going to attack and shame, guilt, or intimidate others in either to silence them or to get them to come over to your side, be it left or right. If you can show someone that their stereotypes are not accurate, their collectivist views are not absolutely right, then you can start to chip away at things. But in order to do so, you have to be willing to do the same. Seek to understand, find the desire to listen to a person without doing so only in the interest of tearing apart what they say immediately after they stop talking. Be willing to listen, to accept that what they're saying may be true from their eyes. So they may believe something you don't, and you could think them a liar. Well, maybe they do believe it. Maybe they're not just saying it to sway people or to do whatever. You need to be the change that you wish others to embrace. And we've lost track of that. And this is why it's important for conversations to happen openly and truthfully. Because if I'm going to say, I'm this, and you're going to say, well, then you that. Well, no, let's have a conversation about it, because it doesn't necessarily mean I believe something. We should have the conversation so you will know what I believe and why, and to what degree. That's my opinion. I feel like I rambled on in this video. If I did, I'm sorry. I hope that you enjoy it. And I think this is my last video today. Go easy, gang.